Yeah, I'm not even gonna deny it, man. I was freaking shameless, okay? I had the most useless extracurricular in my school ever. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Bagpipe. I'm a master procrastinator. I came from the iPad kid, subway surfer, brain rot, ADHD generation. We would have had way more useless BS extracurriculars than you. Plus, college apps are way harder these days, so we got to pad up our profiles. Well, that's where you're wrong. Or maybe you're not. I don't know. I never seen what you guys look like. However, you still deserve to hear my story because this is my truth. Side note, if you guys want college admissions consulting or advising, feel free to reach out through the email in the description box below. Because while I am indeed the one stop shop for college app slop, I'm also a consultant who's helped students get accepted into top schools such as, but not limited to, Harvard, Princeton, UPenn Wharton, MIT, Cornell Dyson, USC Marshall, and Berkeley Haas. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you want help. But that's not the point. I'm here to convince you that I was the worst. And I know for a fact some of you college maxers are indeed quite shameless. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I couldn't be fixed, though. I was beyond redemption. This is a story of how I joined Anime Club. So, Anime Club is pretty much what it sounds like. Once a week during lunch, we put on a show we think people would be interested in, like Code Geass, JoJo, or Evangelion. Pretty simple, right? Joining wasn't really all that hard. You walk in, you sign in, bada bing, bada boom. Part of the ship, part of the crew. You're now a club member and can show admissions officers that you have some semblance of a social life. However, we all know how hard it is to get accepted into colleges these days. It's not enough to be a member of multiple clubs. You had to be president. In fact, you can't just be president. People can take president positions and have no impact. They need to actually do something impressive too. Me? I had to get my foot in the door with any kind of cabinet position. I was desperate. This included stuff like vice president, secretary, all that jazz. But in order to get accepted into a cabinet position, they can't just let any normie get in. You had to prove yourself. You had to be a weeb. And it's not as easy as it sounds because of the competition. Most people join clubs that are adjacent to their interests or parallel to their nature. So, engineering guys usually went for robotics and mathematics and whatnot. Law track people were going for speech and debate and journalism and shit. Those vying for the anime club cabinet positions were also cabinet members in clubs like Smash Bros. And Digital Art Club and whatnot. So, if you're to try to get any kind of cabinet positions, I'd have to really know my shit. Makes you wonder, am I really going to try to outweeb other people for that cabinet position just so I could get a few extra drops of that college admissions acceptance rate syrup? Yeah, pretty much. As I said, I was shameless. So yeah, interview day comes and I being a freaking normie thought it would be appropriate to come in with a button up shirt and pants. Boy, was I wrong. Everybody had some kind of merch on. I saw Mecha fans, Otome game fans, Homestuck fans, people with the messenger bags that had the little pins with characters I didn't even know existed. And when I thought I had all the hope drained from my soul, then came the League of Legends fans. Oh my god. They had the keychain and everything. I was such a normie. I had no shot, man. So while I didn't get a position necessarily, I was friends with the cabinet members and the president, and I was fortunate enough to get a nepo hire. Except this was like a bullshit job. Yeah, we just made up a position for me on the spot, which was a mix of like marketing and managing money or something. But here's the thing: it turns out we had no idea what kind of marketing to like actually do. I think I eventually settled on social media marketing, which eventually just meant uploading to Facebook and whatnot. And as some of you guys know, like especially those of you guys who've had experience, just uploading stuff to social media doesn't magically get people to join. So now I'm basically like half useless. But wait, maybe there's hope, right? Like, what about managing money? Which is dead ass just what the treasurer does, but like like you got to do something, right? You know how it feels to be the weak link? How it feels to let everyone lift the load? It stinks. So I asked the treasurer of our club. I'm like desperate at this point, right, to just do something. Like, and he was actually also our second president, by the way, who it okay, as I'm talking about this now, I realize how fucking weird our club is. Just like two presidents. The second president is also treasurer. Oh my god. Now that I think about it, all of us were bullshifting so hard, man. Like, so okay, like I'm gonna go on. Anyway, I asked our second president, right? Who's also our treasurer. Hey, I'm supposed to be managing money here, but I notice you're also treasurer, but I gotta do something here in this club. So I'm not like a useless weak link. Like, 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 oh yeah, don't worry, bro. You don't need to do anything because we don't really make any money anyway. Bro, how did we make no money? What about the school events where we sell food and shit? Like every club does that, including us. You telling me we make no money? And so, he goes, "Oh yeah, dude, but that's because we spent way too much money on the rice balls, so we couldn't turn a profit." What the bro? How do you make no money from the rice balls that you're supposed to sell? That's impossible. Rice is so cheap. Plus, students always buy food during stuff like club food festival events that we always like host, right? Like, there's no way we made zero sales. Everyone wants to buy club event food. School food is inedible. It's like British food, beans on toast, mushy peas. Like, oh, right? Like nobody wants the lunch lady Wellington ensemble. Anyone would be buying our rice balls. And they did. So how do we lose money? What are we selling? Gucci rice? Like, so so I go like, okay, well, it's not like everything is lost, right? As semi treasurer, I can help with managing the budget, but then he interrupts me, right? He hits me with like oh yeah, don't worry, I'm both president and treasurer, so I'll handle the receipts, copying, and bookkeeping, right? So I'm just left with nothing, and I'm just like, okay. So yeah, I pretty much was supposed to have the same role as my president. Being dead weight really left me in a state of like, I guess like stasis, right? Like, I would think at some point my role evolved into something like pitching ideas on how to make extra money for a club, like selling merch or food and stuff. Plus, if our club actually turned a profit, then hey, good stuff. The only problem is we never implemented any of my ideas ever. Why? Well, we were too busy. Busy with what, you say? With drama every day. You couldn't you wouldn't think there'd be drama in an anime club, but you're wrong. There was like somehow there was always some meltdown. I don't know why. Video, maybe video for another time. Okay, like I don't unless I want to make this a gajillion hours long. Like, but you know what? I didn't mind. Okay, like I'm gonna be real. You want to know why? Because that meant I had something to do. Like, I, it just, I didn't mind the drama because my role then would evolve into something along the lines of like a communications middleman and like part-time drama janitor. Like, in other words, unnecessary drama that was started that could have been easily prevented actually justified my position as social janitor and gave me shit to do. Like, what can I say, man? I was a shameless goober. But hey, at least I help people communicate their frustration. So I think at some point, it was useful. But like, you can't be in there forever, right? Like, I had to leave the club at some point because the drama was just way too much for me to handle. Okay, it was just like too extreme. I don't know how leadership could have blown up so freaking bad. But yeah, with that out of the way, right? Like, I'm gonna at least cover some advice that I learned along the way as somebody with the most useless extracurricular. And hopefully you learn from my experience too. If you guys want to contribute in a club, sometimes it's just better to start your own or keep it small. When you have so many people and way too many members, the tasks are distributed so much that you're essentially doing nothing. You got a few members who are just your buddies with shared interests? Okay, okay. You're inviting all your friends and their friends, and they're all sharing labor? Nothing will be efficient. Nothing will get done. Trust me. Just think about group projects, man. How many times have you thought to yourself, oh my God, I could have done everything faster if I just worked alone? Another thing that happens is if you end up having decisions designed by committee. This usually comes when the president tries to appease everyone's wishes, which we all know is impossible. So, what usually happens is the president will try to take ideas from every individual, usually leads to disaster. Sometimes they also habitually take the middle ground on everything as a result. For example, hey guys, we're an anime club. We should sell sushi during the food festival. But I kind of feel like having tacos. President goes, well, fuck it. Let's do sushi tacos. There, everyone's happy, bro. When you have to appease a large number of people, you end up just making everyone mad. That's especially bad for you startup business bro types, especially, you know, like as a rule, like typically it's easier to keep it lean and recognize when you don't need to appease everyone's opinions. Okay, number two. Okay, this is going to be a weird one, but I'm going to brag a little, all right? Not going to lie, I think having strong listening and empathy skills actually saved my ass. Like, if I never had the listening and empathy skills, I wouldn't have had the ability to bring the drama down to a simmer. Or it could have even been used to find opportunities. So, for example, I actually found a lot of the engineering students I worked with were super interested in finance and the stock market. Maybe you have some club members who are super interested in that stuff and they're talking about the big stonks. But there's already a stock market related club on campus and you can't really get in. So you ask them what they're interested in about, and they go, oh yeah, I'm into stocks, but I'm not really into the whole predictive models, crystal ball, mathematics kind of shit. But I really enjoy the more accessible kind of math, like finance fundamentals, and sometimes even the finance horror stories you see YouTubers cover, like Caleb Hammer. So that's where you could come in and say, hey, that sounds super cool. Why don't we set up something together and we'll make a club that's specifically covering that? So ultimately, you're listening to the pain points some people have and seeing opportunities to carve out new niches that you can capitalize on and maybe even collaborate with other bigger clubs. Now, did I just make that scenario up in my head? Yeah, pretty much. But I hope that gets the point across. I don't know what it is about clubs, but it always felt like the cabinets were always so segregated from the rest of the regular members. Like there was this untouchable old guard of cabinet members who were just above the rest of the plebeians. When you're running a club, it's always nice to think about the actual members. I think the worst example of this was when we'd watch, like, we want to watch a certain anime for the week, right? And we tell everybody, hey, write your names in the sign in sheet and write down the anime you want to watch next. But then our cabinet would just disregard everyone's opinions anyway. Like, bro, what the hell? What's even the point of the sign in sheet? It's like autocracy. Dude, our cabinet took way too much control. Here's another example. Okay, one time we had to make merch for Anime Club for that year, and I don't know about you, but I think that merchandise needs to be taken care of delicately. Like if people are unexpectedly more open to wearing club and extracurricular merch than expected. It's actually pretty cool because they want to represent. So there's like an obligation to make it look good, right? Especially because they're so generous with it. So I proposed something that I thought the club members would really like just the general club members. I'm like, oh, streetwear style mixed with some subtly anime-ish designs, like emphasis on subtle, right? Like I think subtle anime crossovers with streetwear is what I'm mostly seeing our club members wearing. So I think they're going to appreciate that, right? But no, they were proposing things like a character with okay, I seriously can't say this, like, but I'm just gonna say it this way, okay? They wanted a character on the shirt with a really big ribbon. Like, dude, there's no shot anyone would be buying our club merch wearing that in public. Would you buy bagpipe merch if it was just me with like a really big ribbon? Would you? Yeah, thought so. So I'm like laughing my ass off. And our secretary goes, bagpipe, that's not very funny. That's a very inappropriate thing. And I'm like, It's as if I was like the goober who came up with the idea. Um, like it just makes no sense. But yeah, no one could get anything done in that club because, again, with the merch designs, it was designed by committee. Okay, so I kind of want to end this on a little bit more of a serious note, but also a positive one too, because this really is important to the context of college admissions. You're gonna fuck it up at some point. Maybe you slacked off a bit. Maybe you were a little useless like I was back then. Or maybe you just fell short of a project you were conducting because you guys wasted too much time on unimportant variables. Whatever it might be, you need to keep in mind that group efforts are always subject to some amount of failure. A lot of the mistakes my cabinet members made were in delayed acquiescence. That is, they couldn't just accept that some efforts are just chalked. Once again, another example. You let an artist in the cabinet design the merch. They have perfectionism. They take forever and a half trying to design the crap. And you're thinking, oh my God, please hurry up. I'm not getting any younger. These samples already look good. We could just take one and move on. This shit happens all the time. Like, get a fellow artist to work on a project, analysis paralysis, and inexorably, your projects get delayed. It's a catastrophe. I think a good general rule that works really well for a lot of club founders is something like this. Don't aim for 101%, as cliche as it is, right? Or even 100%, not gonna lie. Like, just aim for 85% good and then move on. If you actually focus less on trying to get it perfect, like a lot of my club cabinet members did, you discover that you save up way more time and energy to expend on more important stuff that increases your ROI in the long run for college admissions. Actually, what's funny is that as a college consultant, like a lot of my engineering comp sci kids were focusing on things like creating apps that, not gonna lie, like nobody needed in the end. Like, and during the development process, they look back and be surprised at just how much shit they could have streamlined just by not being overly perfectionistic or even reducing the number of people working on the projects. So there are fewer cooks in the kitchen. I feel like if the constant pursuit of perfection, it's like, especially on the shit that doesn't really matter, that's the kind of stuff that really steals away your time. Oh my God. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I was such a goober, man. But hey, you know what? Like, my mistakes, it's all in the past, right? I can't go back in time. I had one of the most useless extracurriculars ever, wasted so much time. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're more shameless than I was. If that's the case, please do share your extracurriculars in the comment section below because I'm deathly curious. Also, because I'm a shameless engagement farmer, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, that's about it for this one, guys. If you want assistance with the college admissions process or would like personalized college consulting services, reach out via email in the description box below. And until then, I'll see you later, you mecha loving, League of Legends playing, rice ball eating, useless EC founding, finance aiming, syrup slurping Berkeley Haas goobers.